All right, good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today we're here in Greenville, Tennessee, and I'm with Brad and Brandon. I knew it was a B, Brandon. Brandon came to our grazing school a year or so ago, and these are the Timeless reps. They both work for Timeless Fence. Brad, you're the COO, and Brandon, you're in sales.
I'm Regional Vice President.
Regional Vice President. How long have you all been with Timeless?
I've been with Timeless for 10 years.
10 years?
And 6 years for me.
6 years for you. One of the things that folks don't realize about Timeless Fence, first of all, it's manufactured right here in Greenville. It's a great product. We've been using it for years, and I just love it because it's something that we can just go out and use. It's very durable. It takes a lot of punishment, and it just keeps coming back. But I didn't realize, just in the last year or so, you all have really started to branch out. You're not just selling post.
Right.
You've got a lot of other stuff here that you're selling as well.
We use the term one-stop shop. We want to make it as convenient as possible for our customers to get everything they need delivered, so they're not having to run around town and order from different companies. So our goal is to make it as easy as possible, just kind of like our fencing.
Yep. Well, one of the things that I'm impressed with is I'm looking on your table here, and it's all stuff that I use. The Terragate reel. You've got, Brad, would you like to pick up the Speed Right there?
Yeah.
So this used to be a StayFix product, and Speed Right, didn't they They bought out StayFix, correct?
Yeah, it was two separate brands, manufactured by the same company, but what they've done is they've discontinued the StayFix brand. Speed Right is what you would buy mostly today. There's still a few StayFix items out there that are kind of getting sold through. They're the exact same on the inside. You can take the guts out of one, put it in the other. The only difference is the color of the box.
The color of the box, that's it. And this does have the remote where you can turn it on and off, is that correct?
Yep. Any of the I-Series in Speed Right, 6,000, 12,000, 18,000, 46,000, and 63 are all remote capable, come with the remote control. So anywhere from the fence, touch that remote to the fence, hit the off button, you can shut your power off from anywhere.
That'd be pretty handy if you're out there driving along the farm and you see a tree laying on the fence. You don't have to go back to the charger to shut it off. What do you think about that, Brandon?
It's very handy, especially guys with larger acreages.
Yep.
I always kind of present it, imagine where your box is and you're doing a repair at the furthest point from the box.
Yep.
You've got that remote, you touch it, boom, you're done. Otherwise, you're hoofing it back.
Yep.
And then hoofing it back again.
Right.
And back and forth. And how much time have you wasted that you could be doing something that makes money?
A lot.
So that's how we present it.
I see that it says Fault Finder. You all want to explain a little bit what that does?
Yeah, so embedded inside the remote control, it really does three functions. It is the remote control, as we just talked about. It is also a digital voltmeter, so if you want to test your voltage from anywhere on the fence, you just touch that to the fence. It will give you a readout of the output you're actually getting from the Energizer at that point. And then the last thing is the fault finder. So in the event that you have a problem, you've got a short, touch that to the fence. It's going to tell you your amperage loss, and it's going to point you in the direction that it detects a problem.
Yep.
So when you're troubleshooting your fence, rather than walking around and having to visually inspect everything, this little gadget here is going to make your fence repairs.
It gives you a
extremely
roadmap.
easy.
It gives you a roadmap to the problem.
Absolutely. It's just going to lead you right to it. You just walk and touch. You're going to narrow down your problem area real quick.
And Brandon, you just talked about saving labor.
Yeah.
There's a big labor saver there.
Yeah, it is. I ask guys all the time, what's your most valuable asset? And I usually get a blank stare. Well, your most valuable asset is time.
Yes.
That's the one thing you cannot get back.
That's right.
So we try to make this as time efficient as possible.
Yep.
It's going to last a long time. So
Yep.
we're not just fence posts, we are a system, so that's why you've got Timeless Fence System.
Yep.
So we want to, anytime we find something new, if it fits in our little program, that's what we're going to go with.
You mentioned posts. Let's cover those. So you start out with, you got several different sizes and lengths there. So what do you got right there?
This is a 1.5 inch profile. This is
Now, when you say 1.5 inch, what are you talking about?
1.5 inch. If you were to draw a circle around the end of it, that's going to be your diameter.
Okay.
So this is probably more suitable for cross fencing. Some
Okay.
guys will use it for perimeter.
Yep.
When you get into shorter lengths,
Yep.
they are very strong. We only make them up to a 6 foot. Once you go beyond that, the nature of PVC will get a little more flexible.
Yep.
So we do like these for cross fencing.
What's that sticker down there? What
So
you got
the
that
sticker,
for?
That guides to where you're going to drive it. So as you're
What do you
driving,
mean? So when you get to that where that arrow
Yep,
is, you stop?
Yep. We're going to drive these 18 inches.
So it's got a depth finder on there already.
That's right. Once you bury that label, you're done. That puts your first pre-drilled hole exactly 6 inches from ground level.
How are you going to drive that in the ground? It looks like you'd break it or something if
Just
you touch
like
it.
a steel post.
You use a steel post driver,
Yep.
and you don't deform the end of that.
You're not going to hurt it.
Just
You can-
lay into
you
it.
can wail on it and you're not going to hurt it.
Well, you look like you're a pretty stout fella. You could probably wheel on that pretty good.
I've been known to.
So that one there, is that a 4.5 footer?
This is a 4.5 foot.
4.5 footer.
That's going to build you a 3 foot tall fence.
Okay. And then the next size, you've got a bigger one there. That's 1 3/4 inches.
That's a 1.75.
Well, that's a beast there. Wow, look at that. And it's got the same marker on the bottom.
The same marker. That's
Yep.
a 5.5 footer.
I noticed they're pre-sharpened. Why would you, I mean, that's going to make it drive easier, right?
It does, yeah. It helps a lot with you're going through some wooded areas. You hit some roots.
Mhm.
That's going to bust right through that root.
Well, Brad, you may remember when we first put our first Thomas Fence in, you came up, you and Russ is the owner of Thomas Fence, and you all had a porta-power sitting up on top of this post.
And we actually got one sitting right over here.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Yep.
The sky drills.
Yep. And Russ had it up on there, and he hit a root.
Yeah.
I'm like, Russ, you better stop. He said, well, let's just give it a minute. And that thing set to pop, 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 and pretty soon, now this is a honey locust tree, a big tree. That darn post went through it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And it's still there today.
It's still there today. As a matter of fact, that same post, Brad, we had an ice storm this winter, and it blew a huge limb out, and it landed right there where Brandon's hand would be. That whole post went over, made a U shape on the ground, and we were trying to keep the cattle herd going, so we didn't mess with it for like 2 weeks. I'm like, I ought to go out there and cut that limb off one of these days. So we did, and that darn post, it had 8 high tensile wires on it, 8. And that post had a little bit of a U shape in it for about 4 or 5 days. As the weather warmed up, that darn thing went back straight. It's still there today. You can't even tell it had a limb on it.
That's right.
So, folks, you don't have to drill them for your holes. The holes are already there. How many holes has that post got on it?
It's
So like
5.5.
Yeah.
This one's going to have 14 holes.
14
They
holes.
start 2 inches from the top of the post. They're spaced every 3 inches.
All the
and
way-
They stop about 2 feet from the bottom.
Okay. And so it makes a really attractive fence to run the wire right through the hole. There's no connectors. You don't have a piece of wire out here on the outside of it. We've got some other posts that we've tried in the past, and they start to, fray. They change colors. They start bending. That post that you and Russ put in, that fence has been in, I don't know what year that was.
That's probably been there, I'm going to say about 9 years. 10
9 years. You go out there today, and everything in the post is still straight.
Still there.
And they're still white.
Still white.
So, I don't know. I'm a guy, when I go out to build fence, I don't want to build it twice.
Right.
What do you say about that, Brandon?
Well, you kind of touched on something that I kind of like to speak on. People, we get a lot of customers, they say, well, I don't want to thread the holes. My response is simple. Just take the time. Do it right the first time. Yes, you can use T-post clips. By doing so, you are now allowing an opportunity for maintenance.
Yep.
Maybe not 1 time, maybe not 2 times, but it's going to happen.
Yep.
Deer hits it, they pop that clip off, that clip rusts, it breaks off. Take the time on the front end, run it through the holes, and you don't ever have to worry about it.
Yep.
You're done.
Yep.
So that's kind of my pitch to everybody. when
It
they
makes
ask me
an
about threading.
attractive fence,
It
too.
does, it
It
does.
really does.
Favorite quote of mine by the famous basketball coach John Wooden said, if you don't have time to do it right, when are you going to have time to do it again?
Brad, that's a new one. I hadn't heard that one. That is good. So, yeah, build it right the first time.
Do it right the first time.
Yep. Use a good product. Now, and I get this a lot from people. They said, but Greg, that Thomas post, it's kind of pricey. I'm like, yeah. Wait a minute, back up. Have you bought a new steel post today? New steel post. Steel prices are going up. We know that. They've doubled in the last 7 months because we have a bale mower that we sell, and the steel prices just keep going up. And these prices have gone up too. But where I'm going at, folks, is steel is conductive. If you've got steel posts and you're trying to run electric fence around your farm, it's going to be a nightmare. trying to
Got
keep.
hundreds of ground rods
Oh.
just waiting for an accident to happen, an insulator to break,
Yes.
a deer to pop one off.
Yes.
And if you sit down and do the math of what it takes you to replace an insulator, to go to your barn, your shed, grab a new one, go fix that insulator, count your time in
Yes.
that, you will realize you've got a lot of liability on every post. 4 or 5
Absolutely.
insulators on a post, it's thousands of dollars.
It is. And steel post, if we're comparing high tensile fence to a barbed wire fence, with a barbed wire fence, you got to put a steel post about every 12 feet.
Right.
The distance on these posts, what are y'all recommending on that? On a perimeter fence? On flat ground?
It depends on, you said it there. On flat ground, as long as your wire's not sagging, you can go 20, 30 feet.
Yeah.
Easy.
So they're not expensive. When you start looking at that, the biggest cost of a high tensile fence is the post. But when you can space them out, there goes your cost way down. So
We've done some estimates, and people ask us, what's the cost per foot? There's no surefire answer. There's so many variables
Yep.
that can affect the cost of a fence. But I can tell you 9 times out of 10, a high tensile fence, the cost per foot is going to be less than a woven wire fence, a barbed wire fence, or any of that.
Yep.
They get sticker shock when they see the post.
yes.
And one of my favorite questions is, well, what's your time worth to you? And I get a blank stare, and I'm like, okay, well, how much do you pay yourself per hour to farm? Well, I don't know. I mean, you're doing this to make money, right? So you're paying yourself something. So they assign a number to it. I'm like, okay. So then, like Brad said, I started figuring out, going out, swapping out posts, putting on insulators, this and that. All the while, if they'd have went this route, wouldn't have had to fool with it. They could have been doing something else. moving
Absolutely.
cows or whatever.
Absolutely. Well, this post is made out of some of it's recycled PVC material from, is it windowsills?
Yep. From windows to door profiles. So if you look at a cross section of the post, you'll see 2 different colors. This inside color here
Yep.
is all of your recycled rigid PVC.
Okay.
This thin outer layer, which is generally around a 15 thousandths layer,
Mm-hmm.
is all UV coating. This is what we call capstock.
Yep.
This gives the product a longer lifespan. It also helps us control the look a little bit, because there'll be some variation on the inside color because it is recycled. We're getting in a variety of materials,
Right.
but that white coating on the outside adds additional life. We expect these posts to be in the ground a minimum of 40 to 50 years. We do
Wow.
have a 20-year warranty on it. If something happens to the post, just call us. We'll fix it for
Well,
you.
there's no rot.
No
the-
rot, no
There's
rust.
there's no rust. There's no conductivity, and the looks. I mean, look at that, folks. That is one sharp looking post. So if you live in a subdivision, you got neighbors, and you're putting up a tacky looking fence, or if you got a $300,000 home, you don't want a tacky looking fence in your front yard. Build a good looking fence.
That's right.
You know. And I'll go as far as this, folks. We're in the land leasing business. We've got a lot of farms that we lease. I like these posts because when I get the fence built, it's attractive. And that's a sales tool. That's a sales tool. You can use that to go to your next farm, potential farm you're looking to lease. Say, look, we build good looking fence. So any closing remarks from you guys on your product here?
I'll kind of quote you, good fences make good neighbors.
There you go, buddy. There you go.
That's right. Hey, do it once, do it right,
Yep.
make it timeless.
There you go. There you go. Love it. Thank you both
Hey, thank you, Greg.
for your time, and I've enjoyed our time here at your. This is the first time I've been to your conference, and I was talking to Russ, one of the other speakers over, and I'm like, "Have you ever been fed like this before?" I mean, today, folks, we had a roasted pig and pastured chicken. You can have both. I did. I had both.
Tell them what we had yesterday.
Yesterday we had South Pole hamburgers and bratwurst. I'm telling you, folks, we got to get out of here because we're going to be gaining weight, and I'm going to have to go on an exercise program. Thank you both. For those of y'all new to the channel, hit that subscribe button on that, and we'll see you next time.